So my name is Macy Song, and the title of my lesson plan is Let's Be Author. The grade level of my class is first grade, and the composition of my class is there are 20 students, 12 girls, 8 boys, 4 ELL students, they all speak Spanish, 2 have very little English Spanish, and 2 are reading English at a kindergarten level. There are 10 students reading on or above grade level, and 1 student with attention difficulties, and 3 students at a very low reading level. The Kansas content standards for reading is, the first one is students will be able to describe characters, setting, and major events in a story using key details. The second standard is students will be able to distinguish long from short vowel sounds in spoken single syllable words. The Kansas ELP standard is students will know and apply grade level phonics and word analysis skills in decoding words. And the second one is accurately and effectively use standard English grammar and usage when writing. The first objective is the student will be able to describe the character, setting, and major events in the story. And objective 2 is the students will be able to distinguish the difference between long and short I vowel. The communicative objective is today we are going to be reading Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak and find out who Max is, where he went, and what happened to him. The language objectives is they'll be written on the whiteboard. The listening objective is students will be able to listen and distinguish between short and long I vowels. Speaking objective is students will be able to orally explain the difference between short and long I vowels, as well as orally describe the character, setting, and major event in the text. The reading objective is students will be able to read written directions and create their own text. The writing objective is students will be able to describe character, setting, and major events throughout their writing. The vocabulary words in the text where the wild things are is wild, mischief, gnashed, and tamed, and rumpus. The materials, equipment, or technology being used is the word sort, the comprehension activity, pencil, paper, and an iPad. The app that we will be using is called Epic, where the students will be given the audiobook version of Where the Wild Things Are. So for the anticipatory set, after reading the title of the story and the author, I will ask the students 3 questions. What kind of book do you think Where the Wild Things Are, and what it will be about? And if you could have your own island someday, what would you do? And when I was a kid, I would always get in trouble for jumping on the couches. My mom would get so upset with me. So have you ever been in trouble? And if you have, what was it? What did you do? The students will talk to a peer before sharing out loud with the class. So during the reading, we will stop at 4 places. The first one is on page 5. The question is, remember how we talked about getting in trouble? How do you think Max felt when he was sent to his room? The students would give a couple seconds to think about the questions and then talk to a peer. The next question will be on page 11, and it's, what do you think is happening to his room, and why do you think it's changing? The next question is on page 15. It says, and in and out of weeks and almost over a year to where the wild things are. We keep hearing the word wild throughout the text. What do you think the word wild means? And the last spot for discussion is on page 29. It says, now stop, Max said, and he sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. So when Max says, "Now stop," and he sent the Wild Things off to bed without their supper, why do you think Max sent them off to bed without eating anything? Doesn't that seem kind of familiar? Where did we hear that before earlier in the text? Now for the comprehension activity will be modeled for the students before they actually independently work on it. In the text, there are a couple pages where there are no text. There's 3 pictures. The students will be given the option of choosing which picture of the 3 that they want to write their own text for. They will become authors themselves and write their own text for those 3 pages. For one of the 3 pages, they will have to describe the character, the setting, and what's happening, the major event. And each page would look like this, with 3 different pictures on it. And this teacher would have modeled it for them. So on the first line it says, "There once was a king named Max," which describes character. Max, the king of the jungle, lived with his friends, which is the place. The jungle is the setting, the place. And what's happening? Every day he told the Wild Things what to do. Max and the Wild Things are jumping under the moon. So what they are writing, the character, setting, and major event has to match and correlate with the pictures. And before the students are released to do the activity on their own, the teacher would have explained that the I sometimes says its name in certain words, like 5. When the I does that, we call him the bossy I. However, there are also short I sounds, where the I doesn't become bossy and it just does its regular job, like zip. It does its I sound. The itchy hand motion, the teacher would do that to explain to the student that it does its I job. The phonics activity is the students would have to distinguish between short and long I vowels. So in the car sort, there are 2 ice cream cones here, one that says long vowel and one that says short vowel. The students are given a series of 12 ice cream scoops. They would have to look at each one and say the word ice. If they hear the I sound, that is a long I vowel. The next one is ship. You don't hear the I sound in it. You only hear the I sound. Therefore, it goes under the short vowel. And students would continue to complete each one until they have gotten all of them correct. The assessment is that students will be able to get 10 out of the 12 correct. So with reflection in the SIOP lesson, for preparation, I clearly defined each objective. I even relayed a communicative objective to the students. It's orally and visually. It'll be written on the whiteboard. The content of the read out loud is age appropriate and it's at independent and instructional level for the students. And to supplement student knowledge and understanding, I incorporated the Epic app, which has the audio version of where the Wild Things are. I also provided meaningful activities and questions that are fun and engaging for the students. In building background knowledge, I asked in-depth questions to make clear links to what the students experience and relate them back to the book. And I also emphasized key vocabularies, making them visible, and then discussing them with the students. For the comprehension input, I had a comprehension activity, which was coming up with your sentences for the blank pages. Students had to be knowledgeable enough about the book to be able to write 3 to 5 sentences that explained what the pages meant, what the pictures meant. And the assignments correlated with the Kansas reading standards as well as the ELP reading standards. The teacher clearly explains and models each activity before the students are left to do it independently, and the modeling is explained well enough that the students complete it at proficiency, and I accommodate and guide as needed. The strategies that I incorporated is the think, pair, share. So students, during the reading, the students would discuss with their peers before presenting some of their answers to the class, as well as the word sort activity. The students work in pairs to do that. They help and guide one another in completing those. And then the simple presentation of their text, of their created text, they would share that with each other. And so also with the modeling strategy, the teacher would clearly state and show them what is expected of the students. And then the teacher also provide visual and audio aid for the students who need them. For interaction, there are multiple opportunities for interaction during the reading, during the word store activity, and then sharing their comprehension activity. Practice and application, students will be given time to practice their simple presentation before presenting it to a peer, the comprehension activity. And students will also be given time to think about their answers before the think picture during the reading. And the students will also be given opportunities to be guided by the teacher before the comprehension and the word activity. So there's a lot of guidance, there's a lot of engagement, there's a lot of working together in this lesson. The lesson delivery, the content and the assignments are orally and visually presented, orally through teacher explanation, and then visually through modeling and guided practice. Therefore, the expectations and the task assignments are clear. The learning is always at the pace of the students, so additional review and instruction will always be given if the students do not understand or need more assistance. The students are always engaged because there's not a lot of teacher talk, just teachers giving the question. There's a lot of student engagement, students working together, like doing the word store, presenting their work, and then doing the comprehension activity. The review and assignment, the assignment is that the assessment is that they write 3 to 5 sentences describing character, setting, and major event, and then getting 10 out of the 12 word sorts correct. And I also asked the students to give a thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs in the middle if they like the book or not.